Now, I said I was not going to be making any book haul videos for a while, and I lied. Now, I didn't lie on purpose. I hadn't planned on making any because I was just being very careful with my spending, but a few things just kind of fell into my lap. One, I got a new job. Same company, but I transferred, and so I will be doing some different things, and to celebrate, I went on a family trip to my favorite bookstore. We got some coffee, cinnamon rolls. My daughter got to go with us. We had a ton of fun, and on that little trip, I picked up some very good stuff. I sold a bunch of books too. I think I sold 15 books, and I only came home with 3. So with all these books, I have a net decrease in my total collection. So hey, I'm doing all right when it comes to how many books I have in my house. Let's start with what I picked up at Recycled Books. This first one, I didn't even know it existed. Lord of Samurand and Other Adventures and Tales of the Orient by Robert E. Howard. This thing is so cool. I love the art on the cover, and this is a collection of his works that were published in Oriental Stories. That name wouldn't fly today for a magazine, but these are all of his adventures with mostly the Crusaders and stuff, but this is all of them from 1930 to 1934, and it's all of the unpublished stuff, even partial manuscripts. I've never heard of Bison Books, but this thing's immaculate. Look at how clean that paper is, and looking at the spine, I don't think it's ever been read. And I'm really looking forward to this. I like the style of the stories. I cracked it open in a few random places just to see what I was getting, which it's kind of obvious I'm getting Robert E. Howard's writing. I knew what I was getting, but you always got to check. You might stumble upon something whack like Solomon Kane. These next two, I wasn't sure about buying, so I messaged Evie. I'll link her channel in the description. And I was just like, hey, will I like KJ Parker? Now, I had a suspicion that I would like KJ Parker's writing. I have The Company on my 40 before 40 list, and I've looked at it. I read the first couple pages, and I'm like, I'm vibing with this style of writing. I like it, but you never know. Well, I asked her, and she said something along the lines of, I'm almost positive you will like his writing. And I told her I'd found some of his books, and I wanted to pick them up, but I wanted to make sure I'd like them. She asked what they were, and I sent her a picture, and then I got some expletives in response. Shocked expletives. And what those books are KJ Parker's short story collections from Subterranean Press. These are signed and numbered. What's crazy too is these have been there for a couple months, and I didn't expect them to stick around that long, but they were also in the horror section. I thought KJ Parker wrote fantasy. Yeah, this is a first edition from 2023, signed and numbered and all that. And Evie said that this is a great way to check out KJ Parker to see if I will vibe with the overall style. The short stories are a good indicator of what you will get from the novels. At least that's what Evie told me. I didn't even mention what it was called. The first one is Under My Skin by KJ Parker, 2023, Subterranean Press. And then the other one was a library book, which is wild. It's signed and numbered. It's number 540 out of 1,000. And this one's from 2018 from the Plymouth Public Library. And this is The Father of Lies by KJ Parker. So I have some very chonky collections of short stories to get me into a new author. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've been reading a lot of books lately, but I've been on this weird kind of holding pattern. I keep trying new series or reading book ones or rereading stuff, and I'm really wanting to dig into something other than my project with Lois McMaster Bujold, which has been going great. Every book is somewhere between good to outstanding, but I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what you want to read, especially when you have way too many choices. That's what I picked up from Recycled Books. And then I had my last shift at my old job, and it was kind of depressing. I was really going to miss the people I worked with. I'd been at that place for 13 years. I knew essentially everyone, and some of my coworkers did the coolest thing possible. They gave me a Half Price Books gift card. Now, there's a Half Price Books a little out of the way from where I used to work. I had a super long drive to work, so I never really went there because it just almost doubled my commute home, which was already outrageous. But I was thinking about it all weekend. I was like, man, maybe I should go there. It's going to be like the last time I'm anywhere near that place for a while. I found some really good surprises there. That's where I got my copy of the Black Company tabletop RPG rulebook. That was one of my holy grails. So I was blown away when I found that. So I kept trying to justify it in my head, like, I can go. And then on my last shift, they surprised me with a gift card, and I straight up told them, I'm like, well, thank you. You convinced me. I'm going to Half Price Books when I get out of here. And I spent the whole gift card, which is okay. It was a Memorial Day sale too, so I got some good stuff. Now let's go through them. One of them, I don't understand why I got it for the price I paid. I picked up The Buried Pyramid by Jane Lindold. I don't know if this book is good or not. I just saw her name and thought, wait, I recognize that name. Where is that from? She was affiliated with Roger Zelazny. She wrote with him. She was mentored by him. And this book was $2. And I was like, why is this hardcover in really good shape, first edition, first printing, $2? And then I crack it open and I see some writing in pen, and I'm like, oh, it's because someone wrote in the book. I'm like, wait, it wasn't just someone. Really hard to see because it's so bright, but it was signed by the author. It's personalized to someone. I don't know if this book is bad or not. It takes place in Egypt. I'm guessing it takes place a while back. If you're looking at the cover, on the cover, it's very 1880s, maybe 1890s. It's hard to tell. I mean, one of the guys on the boat has a repeating rifle. And, repeating rifles came out right around the end of the Civil War, but they weren't really popular until the 1880s. I wonder what it is. I wonder if Enfield made repeating rifles, because all I think of is like Henry lever actions and stuff when I think about repeating rifles of that era. And that one does have like a gold or brass receiver or something. So who knows? Doesn't matter. Yeah, the book was $2 and I have no idea why. It makes me want to move it up my TBR quite a bit because the book's not that old. I lied. The book is that old. It was published in 2004, so it's 21 years old. And when I think of 2004, it doesn't feel like it was that far away. And then I have grown-ass adults telling me that they were born around the time I graduated from high school, which is never fun. I think that's enough digressions about aging. Basically, everything from this to Whenever I Tell You was all from one place, and it was a really good deal. And I got some really cool stuff, so let's keep going. I picked up Rejoice, A Knife to the Heart by Stephen Ericson. This is his first contact novel, and it has very mixed reviews, and I don't know why, but I'm really looking forward to checking it out. There's even a blurb from Stephen R. Donaldson, so it can't be all bad, and Robert J. Sawyer's on the cover saying a masterpiece. And this book's immaculate too. It's never been read. Look at how clean that is. I don't even think this thing's ever seen sunlight, so I will keep it that way. Yeah, Stephen Ericson. Of course, he wrote Malazan, but you know what else he wrote? More importantly, Willful Child. My favorite Star Trek, spoof or satire. It's so good. I absolutely love it, and I'm really looking forward to reading more of his works outside Malazan. I love Malazan, but I also just love seeing what an author does outside of their main collection of novels. I ain't into that normie crap. We're trying to get into the hipster side of famous authors, like George R. R. Martin. I love A Song of Ice and Fire. It's a great series. You know what I love even more? Fever Dream, and all the work he wrote in Wild Cards. But let's not get into that today. Maybe I'll make a video about everything George R. R. Martin has written that isn't A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I love writing books, like books about writing, and I wasn't going to get this, but I opened it and I really liked the advice that it was giving. And this is because it seems stupid. It's just it comes across as like a gimmick, and it's The Art of War for Writers. Fiction Writing Strategies, Tactics, and Exercises by James Scott Bell. Now, this seems like another one of those BS books where it takes the Art of War by Sun Tzu and just pigeonholes it into something it has no justification to be a part of. Writing. But I opened it and it takes some quotes from Sun Tzu, like speed is the essence of the opening. So that's a play on speed is the essence of war. Take advantage of the enemy's unreadiness, make your way by unexpected routes, and attack unguarded spots. Then what the author does is takes a quote from a writer of writing advice that kind of plays on that quote. And this one is just about writing a good opening to a scene or writing a good opening to chapter, and just really cool advice like that. The key to reader bonding is falling in love with the lead. And then it uses another quote. So it's really interesting advice, little bites of advice that you can just read a chapter and then focus on that, or just sit there and think about it and brainstorm it and how it work with the story you want to write. And I thought it was really cool, and it was on clearance, so there was no way I wasn't going to get it. What I almost got, because they're so stupid, I tried reading a handful of them, just sat there in the clearance aisle and read half a chapter, and I was like, this is terrible. And then I tried another one. That's the series The Penetrator, and it is like the corniest, goofiest men's adventure fiction. Maybe it's good, I don't know. There's some men's adventure fiction I really like, but this just seemed bad. Also, yet again, has the coolest names, just like the Mac Bolan series. I gotta tell you, I was looking up the names and they're super cool. We've got Blood on the Strip, Capital Hell, Hijacking Manhattan, Mardi Gras Massacre, Baja Banditos. But what killed me, okay, Terror in Taos. That's the one that killed me. So it's talking about Taos, New Mexico. Beautiful place. I've been there twice now. It's gorgeous. I really like that area. But what killed me is on the back when it was describing the main character, the Penetrator. Also, one heck of a name for a men's adventure fiction like MC. Anyways, on the back it says he's half Welsh, half Cheyenne, and he's getting back to his Native American roots. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? And then it goes on to talk about using like garrots and sneaking around and tracking people's trails without ever leaving a trace of your own tracks. And I'm just like, come on, dude, this is stupid. So I didn't end up getting them. It was like number 14 through like number 41. They were like $1 a piece, and I was real tempted, especially because it was like 20% off. But I'm like, I'm not going to read these. They're going to take up so much space. Maybe they've got them on ebook somewhere or something if I really wanted to give them a try, or audio would be even better. But anyways, let's move on from bad books to books that should have won a Pulitzer Prize. And that was Main Street by Sinclair Lewis. This is a hardcover from 1948. Yeah, the spine's a little faded, but this was only $5. Why was this only $5? It's in really great shape. I mean, we're talking about a book published in 1948, like printed in 1948. It's in great shape. The yellowing is not bad at all. The spine is in really good shape. The only issue is there's a little bit of water damage, like right here on the jacket, but you can barely tell. And even the jacket's in really good shape. But yeah, like I was saying, this was supposed to win a Pulitzer Prize. And Sinclair Lewis was not awarded the prize because Main Street was a little too critical of American values, and the people voting at the time were like, oh no, we can't award it to something that's critical of what makes America great. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So Sinclair Lewis was not given the award. Then when Sinclair Lewis won the Pulitzer for Babbitt, Sinclair Lewis was just like, no, I'm not going to get the award, whatever, go away, and just like ghosted the award ceremony. And you know, good. The reason I picked up Main Street was not only because it was supposed to win that, and it's a very critically acclaimed novel. One of my favorite literary fiction novels of all time is It Can't Happen Here. Man, that book still hits real close to home. It hurts to read at times. I mean, tell me if you've heard of this before, but a borderline joke candidate that no one thought was going to win runs as a populist and wins the election for president. And then him and his cronies create an authoritarian state where the press is silenced and camps are created. And almost immediately, because it's a crony system under an authoritarian president, things start to fall apart. Now, this was written before Hitler's rise to power. And man, was it literally just a, hey, what if an authoritarian became president in the United States? How bad would that be? I won't spoil the ending, but there's hope at the end of the story in like the best way possible. It's such a farce, and it really just points out all of the flaws of a political system like that in such a smart way. I mean, Sinclair Lewis is awesome. I loved that book so much. I can't recommend it enough. I should probably make a video about it. I'm looking forward to reading Main Street. Main Street is like Sinclair Lewis's war on complacency of suburban America, which is wild because it came out in 1920, and he's attacking suburbanism long before we have the boxes of ticky-tacky all over the country and the suburban spread, and it's such a nightmare. Sinclair Lewis is probably rolling over in his grave every time a new subdivision gets built in this country. I'm really looking forward to reading that, so hopefully I can get to it sooner than later. Maybe I'm going to become a Sinclair Lewis stan the more I read his stuff. We'll see. Really funny story real quick. In William Manchester's biography of H.L. Mencken, talks about them going to a party and this redheaded drunk idiot wouldn't leave them alone, and come to find out it was Sinclair Lewis, and they were just like, yeah, you remember that drunk idiot at that party that wouldn't leave us alone? He wrote this book. And they were talking about Main Street. H.L. Mencken was talking with his friend and co-editor of their paper, and they were just like, I can't believe it. That guy was so stupid, and look what he writes. It's just so great. Now, speaking of litfic, I picked up a replacement for a book I have. I read The Natural by Bernard Malamud. That book is one of the most bizarre things I've ever read. It is a baseball book, but it is also a very weird, oftentimes genius book about American values and kind of the world at the time. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. But wow, is it strange to read. Like, parts of it give you whiplash because it goes from being like a normal American hero story to a dude literally dying in the first chapter or something. It's like he tried too hard and sometimes it worked and other times you were like, bro, you got to lay off. Well, I picked up the Library of America copy of Malamud, Novels and Stories of the 1940s and 50s. It comes with a slipcase. It's really cool. I got it for a really good price. Now, one of my issues with these is their paper. Wow, that page is crushed. That's sad. But anyways, the paper is super thin. It's hard to tell from here, but man, it's like a Bible. It's almost that thin. It's got the little fancy ribbon bookmark, and the reason I picked this up is my copy of The Natural, which was from a friend at work. He picked it up for me just thinking I would like it, and I read it immediately, and I was like, I do like this, but wow, is this weird. Well, this has The Assistant, and The Assistant is the other novel of his that I wanted to read. The premise of it is about a Jewish grocer in New York who is struggling against like the new supermarkets and stuff. Like things are changing, and one bad thing is going to lead to him losing his business, and the bad thing happens. He gets robbed late at night by masked attackers, and he gets hit in the head, and he has like a issue after that, like post concussion, syndrome or whatever it's called. Well, a mysterious drifter like shows up and just starts helping him in the shop and starts working for him and really begins to trust him. And then there's like this big twist. I'm really looking forward to checking it out. The book was like a finalist for the National Book Award of Fiction in 1958. And overall, it's just a really cool premise from an author I can respect. Like The Natural is so bizarre, but it reads so well, and hopefully The Assistant will be the same. That was everything I picked up from that Half Price Books. Now, I wanted to just go check out the one near my house. I hadn't been there in a while, and my wife and I were like, we got some time to kill. Let's go there. There's probably not going to be much there. The one by my house never has anything that's inspiring. Boy, was I wrong this time. First thing I found was something I've been searching for 2 or 3 years now, and that was Psychic Power, the D&D 4th edition rulebook. This is a supplement for characters that use psionic powers, stuff like Ardents, Battle Minds, Monks, Scions. I now have the entire power collection. There's Martial Power 1 and 2, Arcane Power, Divine Power, Primal Power, and then Psionic Power. There was supposed to be like a 2 and 3 for all the others, but that never happened because the 4th edition died. But I'm happy to have found this last one. I really like collecting D&D 4th edition. It's like the little piece of D&D that no one else wants, but I love it. And I was just so happy to find Psionic Power. I got it for cheaper than I would have found it on eBay. Then we went to the science fiction and fantasy section that they've expanded, but they kind of just gave it more shelves without more product. And I found something very weird, and my wife was like, you should get that because it's hilarious. And it was like $3. Chicks in Chainmail. Look at that beautiful Larry Elmore art. And the thing about this is it's very on the nose. It's edited by Esther Freisner. Let me read this little bit to you real quick. Introducing today's warrior woman. She's strong, she's capable, she's independent, and she's serious. But most of all, as portrayed in the 20 stories collected here, she's absolutely unforgettable, whether dressed in a chic designer suit or the traditional chainmail bikini. Like, it's making fun of the whole trope. And on the back, it says, publisher's note. The publisher wishes it known that the title for this volume was chosen by the editor and not by him. As a sensitive new age guy in good standing, it would simply never occur to him to propose such a title, and he was shocked that it did to others. This is going to be a really fun read. And this has some awesome authors in it. The very first story by Roger Zelazny. It's a little piece of flash fiction. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be really cool. Then we have Harry Turtledove, Elizabeth Moon, Susan Schwartz, Holly Lysel. Holly Lysel's interesting because I have only ever read one thing from her, and that was Vincalis the Agitator, which was like a prequel to her fantasy series, and I really liked it. I don't know why I never read anything else from her. I think it was because at the time I was just picking up whatever from the library. That Chicks in Chainmail book has a whole series. Like there's Chicks in the Mail, like Checks in the Mail. There's Chicks in Chained Mails. And then there's even other versions like Chicks Ahoy, which is about pirates, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm really looking forward to reading it. One of the other reasons I picked this up is this book is in amazing shape, and it's been a long time since I've gotten like a book in this book club edition size. This isn't a book club edition, just the size, and the print is very crisp, very easy to read. I've noticed that the more I've spent time reading on e-readers, the more picky I have become when it comes to the font in a book. If I crack open a book and I'm like, oh, and it just hurts my eyes, I'm not buying the book. It may be one of my favorite books in the whole world, but if the font is butt, there's no way I'm buying it. And these last three, they're nothing special. Well, they're kind of special. I picked them up for $1 each or something, my library sale. I went there for one specific book, and you'll be able to figure out which one pretty quickly, but let's just go through them real quick. I got The First Man in Rome by Colleen McCullough. This one I really want to read. I might end up doing audio. We'll see. I just really like this old school floppy paperback, and it opens really nice. It reads really well. The font's a little small for me, but I can get used to it again pretty quickly. And I just really like chonker historical fiction in this format. My mass market paperback copy of Shogun, which is being held together with duct tape, I've had since I was 13, and this heavily reminds me of it. So I definitely want to read this book sooner than later. Now this next one, who'd have guessed that I went and picked it up? It is a Little Wings edition of A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. It's a cool little hardcover. Looks like it's never been read. I may end up keeping this copy. More than likely, I won't. What I like to have just hanging around my house is a copy of A Confederacy of Dunces so I can give it away. I had a trade paperback sitting on my shelf of John Kennedy Toole books and biographies, and I had someone over to the house and we were just talking, and they're like, oh, that's cool, I'll have to find a copy of that. And I was just like, here you go. Like, I like having one around that I can just give away. You know, you got to spread the good word that is Ignatius. And the best way to do that is by giving someone a book and making them feel guilty that you gave them a book out of nowhere. And hopefully that guilt will lead to them reading it. And this last one, yet again, I just have a thing for these books. It's the collections of an author like from Wings or Avenel. And this one's from Smithmark, a trio of Patricia Cornwell books. I've never read anything from her. I don't even know what she really writes. Are they thrillers? But this is a 1-volume collection of the first 3 K. Scarpetta novels. Postmortem, Body of Evidence, and All That Remains. Oh, it's about a chief medical examiner. That could be interesting. Yeah, I didn't know anything about her book, but I thought I'd pick this up because, yet again, it was $1. And it's going to go on my eventual giant shelf of collections like that. I really love them. And, you know, what's one more book on the shelf? One more chonky book that's actually 3 books. Yeah, this was quite the book haul. I hope you liked this. Let me know your thoughts on some of these books in the comments. Any of you read Chicks in Chainmail? I doubt it, but maybe we can read it together. Any of y'all play D&D 4th edition? Really cool. There were like 3 other 4th edition hardcovers that I needed that were there. And one of them I was like, I think I need that, and that's a pretty good price, but let's hold off. Let's just buy the one I know is the hardest to come by. And then I got home and realized I already owned a copy of that. That was a good decision. I'd have been real sad if I bought that for like $16 and then came home and saw that I had a copy. Yeah, this haul was pretty good, and I had a lot of fun shopping for it, other than when I used the gift card. That was a nightmare because it's the worst traffic I've ever witnessed in my life, which is half the reason I left that job, because I'm tired of driving so far. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. With that, I'll see you next time.